Good afternoon, everybody out in YouTube land. This is your buddy Choppadong coming at you with another quick tip type video that I haven't done for a while, but I had an idea pop into my head. And instead of the daily content, the weekly stuff, let's do something a little bit more timeless and let's show you how this works and let's explain a concept to you and why the players in DFS that are the good players tend to stay good and why the bad players tend to stay bad. And if you're a bad player wanting to become good, then maybe you need to tune in to DFSArmy.com and you need some of this coaching that we go into more detail with our VIPs. Not to insult you, but some people out there are looking for help, and some people out there are watching these videos and are taking in the information and they just want to know more. Well, if you want to know more, you've got to come inside DFSArmy.com. You find me out on Twitter, start talking with me, asking me questions, retweet my stuff, I retweet your stuff. We get to be, like they said in the movie Grease, we get to be lifelong friends. But the whole point is I'm going to show you and I'm going to prove to you that this is the best community out there for the dollar and that it is actually, compared to what you could wind up doing for yourself, it's a pittance of any kind of a subscription fee or any of that. A lot of people are afraid to let go of money. I get that. I'm the same way. Bottom line is, this is the best value going out there in the DFS world. DFSArmy.com, follow the link in the description in the tab. Use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, for a 20% discount. Month in, month out, as long as you remain a member. Your fee comes, whatever, your subscription goes from 35 bucks down to 28 bucks. It's a no-brainer, okay? Friends don't let friends pay retail. It's that simple. What I want to do is I want to start off by showing you, and I do this every day. And the reason I do this every day is because it happens every day. I get asked constantly, are these doctored photos? Are you pulling these off of Twitter? Is this, no. Look, lineup sellers out there show you 50-50s and they show you some double ups and maybe when they do it, whatever. They're a bunch of jackasses. All they do is they aim for just above the half line and they try and promote that. In some cases, charge $100 a month or so to do it. They suck. Get the hell out of those guys. Come over here, learn how to build your own lineups, and start winning like some of these guys. Swept my ladder, came in 12th in the 20K stretch 4. I don't know what that is, but I know that it paid him 75 bucks. When I scroll down here, this is basketball over the last couple of days. Domination Station does it again. That's what we're going to get into today. DS is printing money again, guys, all over it. Had lineups of 340, 330, 330. Won a lot less because my contest selection wasn't as good. We talk with these guys on a daily basis about which contests to pick and why and how to fill in the gaps and leverage that money so that your lineup always has room to grow and do better and better and better, so that when you get one of those nights where you did really, really well, you smash your return on investment and you start showing out numbers like this: in $2, out with 54. You start showing numbers like in 5, out 1250 on an average night. You start showing some bigger winners. You start showing in 2, out 17. That's almost 8-9x. In 21, out 170. That's a 9x return. In 9, out 36. We've got winners of all shapes and sizes. Still small amounts of money, but you have to start somewhere. Absolutely. Absolutely correct. In 220, out 433. In 50, out 1200. Out 1200, okay? He did okay. He had himself a good night. Here's a ladder sweep. Not as good as Chan. Well, of course not. The 339, the 347, but still sweeping, making money, guys. It's what we're all about. In 120, out 1200. Good Lord. In 14, out 232. In, out 15. I guess he didn't show what he was in for. There's Buck Nasty's $1,000 win again. When I keep cruising down here, in 13, out 99. I would take $100 every day. Great ladder night. Thanks, Domination Station. Our own football geek, in for 1,000, out for 1,600. Lock in Harden and print cash like an ATM. Guys, this is just very, very simple. It requires a little massaging, a little bit whatever. You can run the straight defaults. You can also tweak it and play with it yourself, and I'm going to show you how to do that. What I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit more along the lines of, when do you readjust? When do you reevaluate? Because if you're the type of person that's constantly changing this and changing that, and you don't have a system down, then not only do you need some coaching to get a system, not necessarily ours, make it your own. Learn the fundamentals, learn the concepts, and then devise your own system. That's fine, but don't reinvent the wheel. Don't spin your wheels. Get in here and get access to the coaching so that you can get your questions answered. No other community answers your questions like we do. I promise you. We have over 50,000 messages a week that we're handling on the Slack forum, and we have to constantly delete files because we run out of space so quickly now with 1,200 members that we're trying to run through and we're trying to cater to. We have room for everybody. We got 20 staff members. It just works. The community just works. But if you're constantly tweaking and changing this, and I didn't like this, so I locked this guy in, and well, I heard this, so I tried to fade this guy and stack these guys. No, no, no. You're going to work yourself into a circle. When I used to play a lot of golf back in the day, I was a competitive golfer. When I played a lot of golf, I would go out and I would practice and I would practice, I would practice, and I'd play practice rounds, and I would go and go and go and go every day, every day, every day, every day for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on end. It was nothing for me to play, 400 rounds of golf a year, which I promise you, I've played more golf in my life before the age of 21 than most of you ever can play in the rest of your lives if you started today playing daily. I have played a ton of golf in my day. And what I learned was so much about discipline and so much about when to reevaluate and how to reevaluate. And it passed through for all these other things that I've done. Like I've been interested in online poker, I've been interested in DFS, I've been interested in all of this stuff. And it all comes to the same fundamentals. And if you plug in and you pay attention, you'll learn these things from your life too. What I would do when I played a lot of golf is I would get out into these bad swing habits, and this would feel a little bit bad. So I would tweak this, and then I would, no, that wasn't getting good results, within a couple of days. So I would tweak that. And it was, and then this would get out of kilter, and I'd tweak this again. And next thing you know, my fundamentals were all screwed up. And I was all jacked up, and I couldn't even feel a golf club anymore. And the only thing I could do was two things: either quit cold turkey for 2 weeks, let my whole muscle memory system reset, or honestly, I had to go and play in a charity event of some kind with a bunch of guys in a scramble where I could tee it high and let it fly and just get all my frustration out by mashing balls either down the fairway or into the woods. I didn't give a crap. And that would get me back on track. And DFS is the same way. When you're building lineups, and let's take basketball for example, and you're trying to get a system down and you're changing all of these moving parts, it's like going to Mama's chili recipe and not just changing the pepper and then seeing how that worked, but changing the pepper and the tomato sauce and the chili powder and the whatever the hell else is in chili. If you're in St. Louis and you like Steak and Shake, a can of Coca-Cola, that's in our chili recipes. Or and then add crackers and stuff like that too. I'm telling you, you get so many moving parts that you jack the whole thing up, and then you can't isolate the problem. You can't tell if it was the pepper or if it was the tomato paste. You can't tell if it was the crackers that you added or the chili powder. You have to isolate one problem at a time and leave everything else alone and see if that fixes the problem. If it fixed it correctly, then you move on and you change something else. Just yesterday, my middle son is autistic. We were at a doctor's office. Just yesterday, we decided he's on about 6 or 7 different prescription medicines for anything from mood stabilizers to all sorts of just stuff to help him cope with his everyday world. And mixing up that cocktail is a mess. If I went in and changed 3 things at once and raised this and lowered this, I'd kill him. The doctor would kill him. We change one thing at a time. We give it a month, see how it works, and then we reevaluate. DFS is no different. If you're struggling, you're going to change one thing and you're going to move on and you're going to change something else. So let me show you a basic game plan of what it is that I do once I get myself cleared out of the way here. If I show you, well, here, let me show you my history on FanDuel. I'll show you what I did last night. I'll show you real quickly to combine in because I do a bankroll challenge video. We'll make this a part of it too. It hasn't been as good the past week. It's still over the last, say, week. It's still moderately profitable, but I haven't had big days 2 or 3 days in a row. So I'm not winning like these guys out in here are right now, but I'm a cash player and they're having a lot of tournament success with our optimizer. What I've done though is I've stayed even and I've barely lost a little bit. I might be down $10 on the week, and most of it was because of last night. If you go to 11.9, I want to show you that. Well, let's start at 11.8, and let's show you what I do. 3 lineups, $5 in 50/50s in those 3 lineups. 2 100-man leagues that pay the top 12. 2 10-man leagues that pay the top 3. There's a 16-man that paid the top 3 or 4 because I couldn't find another 10-man league. So I had to make do with something similar because I'm trying to keep my style the same. And then three, well, there should be some $1 50/50s in there as well. I guess this was hockey. But anyway, that's the general idea of what I try to do. I build three different lineups. Look at last night. Three $5 50/50s, three $1 50/50s, three $2 10-man leagues, three $2 100-man leagues. Some guys play bigger than me. Some guys play smaller than me. It amounts to about 27 to 30 bucks a night. And that's up from what I was playing. Basketball is not my sport, guys, but I'll show you how I'm doing it and what I'm accomplishing with it because I think that you'll be interested enough that you need to give the VIP program a try. The point is, I get in here and I run three separate lineups and hope that two do well. If one does well, I get back about, half or a little better than half of my money. If two do well or all three do well, I have a smashing night. And it just grinds and grinds and grinds. But I do the same thing every day. If it's 4 games on the slate, I do the same thing. If it's 12 games on the slate, I do the same thing. I go through the same routine. I play the same numbers of contests, the same types of contests, because I'm trying to see what works. What's the ideal? What's the optimal strategy for me in the way I build my lineups? And this is what I talk to our members about constantly. Let's find a strategy that works for you. Let's find what kind of player you are that works for you, and let's build a custom program around what works for you. Let's maximize your bankroll. Don't fit into my system. The thing I hated the most when when I had a couple of golf lessons in my life, I went to a instructor and the first thing he did was completely tear my swing down and start over building it his way. And I thought, well, this is crap. I'm not a robot. I'm an individual. Let's work around my swing and let's make my swing the best it can be because I've already spent 16 damned years honing and trying to repeat this swing, and now you're going to go change it all up and screw it up. No, I'm not going to do that to you when you become a member. Change your games, change what you play. I'm going to introduce you a couple of concepts and we're going to tweak your outlay, your contest structure, and we're going to start moving on from there. When we go into the domination station, the other things that we do, I run my lineups the same way. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games tonight. This is the initial projections. I'm not showing this to you guys so that you guys can give the cow away for free or anything like that. I need you to become VIPs if you really want to run this thing and really make it work. But the point is, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to start by creating about, say, 10 lineups. And I'm going to create about 4 or maybe even 5 unique players. Let's do 4. And we click optimize. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down through all of our projections. I mean, yes, you can lock players, you can exclude players, you can include players, you can do whatever you want to do. You can set maximum exposures. If I want nobody in my lineup more than 50% of my lineups, that's what I do. And I may get to that at some point tonight. I don't typically because I'm still working on this myself and getting used to this myself. I may take a particular player that shows up in a lot of stuff and only put him in 70% of my lineups. I can do that. That works out just fine. But let's save that for a different day because again, we're starting to mess with the salt and the chili powder and the Coca-Cola and everything else all at the same time. And we don't want to do that because we introduce too many moving variables. We can never figure out what worked and what screwed us up. When I come down here to the 10 lineups, what I'm looking at in these lineups is I'm looking at maximum exposures. The default lineups ran almost 100% of these 3 or 4 guys. This is going to be my core. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to, and pardon me while my autistic kid enters the room and starts messing around with cabinets and getting his afternoon snack. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through here and see how I liked that and then see who my key players were and see when they start showing up again. Let's say I run 5 lineups and I run 3 unique players and I click optimize and I come down here and I take a look at the optimization that this thing is kicking out and it runs a lot of TJ Warren at 100% again. Well, I may go back up and I may limit him, but I may also just run these lineups because it did mix a few players in there. I had it set to mix 3 unique players. So it's going to run around a core of players that it likes, that it didn't, and that's going to help me win as a unit. That's going to help all 3 of my lineups have a good night. Now, because it's got 3 or 4 unique players in each individual lineup, it's going to also spread out, and it's going to then cover some bases so that if 1 or 2 of these players have bad nights, something else may pick up the slack and may, help at least one of my lineups cash and get some of my money back. So what I'm really doing, I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket. I'm spreading out. That's why I play cash games. That's why I leverage them up through contests nice and safely. and get myself a little bit better ROI when my core of players goes off, when this set of players goes off. And really and truly, optimizers are only as good as the projections you put into them. Of course, you can import yours into our system, but the bottom line is our projections are very, very, very good. Our NBA guys work very, very hard at creating these projections. Let's say we went down and did 3 lineups, and let's tighten all the way up to 2 unique players. Let's click optimize, and let's show you what that does. And let's say I did this, and this was my method. I mean, I know not much of a method, right? Because I didn't tweak anything or adjust anything. Yeah, you can lock Fournier in or Dragic or whatever you want to do. But whatever you arrive at, this is just for example's sake. You ran these 3 lineups with 2 unique players in them. You got yourself a pretty tight core. These are the guys that you're going to run tonight. You're going to enter, there's my, let's say those are my 3 lineups for this contest structure right here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug them into each of these contests the same. $10 on this lineup, $10 on that lineup, and $10 on that lineup. And I'm going to run it for a week. And let's say that I made $200 on it, and my new bankroll, instead of, $600 was now $800. Well, now instead of playing 10% of my bankroll at $60, I'm going to up it to play 10% of my new bankroll of $800 or $80. So by doing that, I've adjusted everything that I need to do for my bankroll. I make that one subtle tweak. If I want to start getting a little bit more tournament heavy in what I do, I may come down here and I may spread out a little bit, run 7 lineups, run 3 unique players with a maximum exposure of say 50% in all of them. Click optimize. Okay, that was one change. It was actually a couple of changes, but that was one major change. But I'm going to do that and run that for a week and then evaluate my lineups and my bankroll and see how that worked out. And if it worked out okay, then I'm going to readjust the amount of outlay that I play. My whole point is, it's really just like tweaking this cocktail of medicines, for my kid. I can't have too many moving variables, or I can't isolate what worked to exploit it and what didn't work to find out what went wrong and fix the problem. I have to run it for a week, reevaluate it, run it for a week, reevaluate it, run it for a week, and reevaluate it. That's the whole tip to today. If I could share with you anything and teach you anything, it's going to be reevaluate patiently. Don't make snap judgments. Don't overreact. Don't jump in and out of this idea and that idea. And I just read this article, so I'm automatically going to implement it into everything I do. No, make your changes slowly. Or like that cocktail of medicines for my kid, you mess with too many things in a short period of time, it could kill you. It could kill your bankroll. If this is the type of coaching that you like, you need to become a member at dfsarmy.com. Follow the link, the description of the tab. Use coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, because remember, friends don't let friends pay retail. Guys, tune in. We'll have another video here in a couple of days. Hope this one helped somebody out.